You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, presented by the Only One Media Group. This is the people's choice for quality interviews, celebrities, and special guests. Hosted by Demetrius Dinny Reynolds. Call in to join the mix at 701-801-9813. For the complete archive of episodes, visit onlyonemediagroup.com and be sure to like us on Facebook at Vigilantes Radio. We welcome all. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Demetrius Houdini Black Reynolds. Enjoy the show.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Oh yeah, and welcome to another awesome episode of Vigilantes Radio Podcast, right here streaming on iHeartRadio. I'm your host, dini-mussolini, and we have a very special guest for this morning. So you definitely want to stick around for that. You know, there is really no great secret to success. The way to success is clear for all to see. Those who do not see it or do not follow it are mainly victims of their own illusions. It is easy to wish for some kind of magical intervention to bring success and fulfillment. It is easy to delude ourselves into thinking that we have found a realistic shortcut. In reality, the secret to success is that there is no secret. The desire for a secret, a magical pill, comes from the lack of experience with the real engine of success, which is intentioned, focused effort. You know, for when you taste the joy of like the effect of effort, you realize that that's where the real magic exists. You know, the fact that any imagined results can be had by taking well thought out action is all in the magic anyone could ever need. That's the way the world works. It is a beautiful and elegant, you know, life to the core. Follow the obvious and well laid path to success and bring real magic to your own life. Take that from me, dini-mussolini. That is my word, and word is bond.
Yo, hello and welcome to another awesome episode of Inside the Music, or Inside the Book, Inside the Business, where we dive into the minds of the people who create marvelous things. It feels so good to be back with you guys once again. So one time for my people who are indigos, crystalline, or starseeds, or for my Vigilantes audience family. And 2 times for my people who are vegetarian or vegans. If you're like me, we are averaging over 37,000 live listeners, and we've been at this for 4 solid years. I appreciate all you guys who've been rocking with the kid on this journey, and we are still evolving, baby. It is all because of you, most definitely. We are the people who have dedicated their lives to music, spirituality, business, literature, art, movies, and research in every aspect, and we want to allow you an opportunity to tell your story. Man, we've had celebrities on our show, from Grammy Award winning artists to nominees to actors, comedians, CEOs, technology geniuses, visual artists, from authors to professors and aliens. Or people think they're aliens. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. Come on our show and talk to me. So check it out. To book an interview or just to share a real cool story, email me at vradio@onlyonemediagroup.com. And that's V as in Victor. I'm passionate about what I do, just as passionate about what you do. And together, yes, together, we can get your voice heard by the people who should hear it. So let's create something incredible. You know the number to dial, 701-801-9813. Text that number to your buddy right now and tell them to tune in to connect with us or our guests, or you can hop in the mix directly from our website, onlyonemediagroup.com. Right from the homepage, you can slap that go live button and you'll be right here live in the mix and in the chat room with all of us. Feel free to shoot over some questions to ask our guests while they are here, but only as time permits. Sometimes my guests and I talk entirely too much and we take up the entire hour. And as always, all episodes are available for free download, and you can grab that from either Spreaker.com/onlyonemediagroup, iTunes, YouTube, or any app from the Google Play or iTunes Store, or over at our website. And that goes for every single episode that we've ever aired.
All right. Again, welcome to the show. We don't normally broadcast on Saturdays, but when we do, you know, it is a very special occasion. And such is the case this morning as well. We have a lot of great things going on today. And, you know, I'm just super excited that you guys are along for the ride. It's always an extreme pleasure to have special guests on the show that are equally interested and have something to offer to the world, and, you know, and inspire thousands and millions. And that's our whole goal here at Vigilantes Radio, is to inspire those who need the inspiring, right? So our interviews go beyond the books, music, the news, the businesses, the technology, the education, the art, the films, the movies, the acting, and sometimes even the ego. We go into the minds of these marvelous human beings, you know, the ones who are out here giving the world their gifts and aspirations. And we have a special guest on today, and her name is Denise, and we'll be talking about her mission, her purpose. But before we do that, we need to do this. Check it out. We'll be right back.
There's a reason why you're where you are. There's a reason why you're doing what you're doing. There's a reason why you feel the way you do. You may not know what those reasons are, but it's important that you find out, because if you don't, you'll be trapped in this cycle that you're wanting to break. We all want to be set free by the truth, but before that can happen, we have to identify the lies that holds us hostage. Are you ready?
Are you ready? Wow, that is such an important question when you're on your journey. And I ask you guys, are you ready? Because we're about to get started. Here it is, or here she is. Here's Denise. Hello. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to spend my Saturday morning with you and your listeners. Thank you.
You make me feel special. Yeah. I'm super excited to have you here with us. Yeah. You could be doing anything else in the world, but you decide to chat with us, and I super appreciate that.
You know, it's always honestly not only a pleasure, but a literal quench to my spirit whenever I'm fortunate enough to speak with like minds and like energy and like spirit. Like, that feeds my soul in such a way I would wake up any hour of the day to have that. It's so lacking. So
yeah.
I would have been on at 4 a.m. in the morning if that's what it says.
Yeah, the mission is real, you know, changing lives and, you know, helping people overcome the darkness, you know, that thing that still lives within a lot of us, that is a constant battle every day. And having someone like you on the front lines with us is reassuring that, you know, there is still hope, there is still a way. for someone to find their true selves and, just be the better version. So before we get into that, let's back it up a little bit, cue the violins and take a trip down memory lane, kind of paint the scene of your life and, the highs, the lows, the heartbreaks, the victories, and anything that you want to include in your story. So if we were both sitting together in this tent and, there's a massive screen and a projector, and then it says on the screen, Denise, this is your life. So what kind of movie would we be watching?
Oh my goodness. I think it would be Shakespearean, like with hints of comedy and with all the scenes of a climax where there's happiness, joy, sorrow, pain, pretty much all the spectrum of the rainbow of human emotions and experiences that we go through along this journey. I think I've experienced and I've gone through, and that brings me kind of to where I am today. But just a little background, I'm Jamaican, of course. So
Hey, me too. Well, I'm Jam American.
Oh, you're Jam American? Okay, that's cool. I know a lot of times people are like, oh my gosh, you're Jamaican, I can't tell. And I'm like, you haven't upset me enough for my accent to be as pronounced. But if my sister was on this call, it would be a completely different accent. So I was born in Jamaica, and I came to America when I was 14 with my mother and my sisters, and grew up in Miami. Went to college in Orlando, and basically just I came here under circumstances that I would have preferred not to have. At the time, I was actually leaving Jamaica, basically trying to escape a very traumatic situation that I experienced during my childhood. And so when I came to America, it was a duality of always seeing America on TV and wanting to be in America, but given the circumstances in which I arrived, I was basically dissociated from being present because I had to be internalizing, having left an abusive situation and literally starting over, leaving your family, leaving your friends, leaving everybody that you know in life and starting over. And I think for me, psychologically at 14, I wasn't able to process that. And so essentially what I think I did as I'm, processing now, I think I just literally became another person. Like I literally just put that version of myself away and just took on a different persona, and that persona didn't really have to deal with the trauma and the pain and all of those raw emotions that weighs so heavily on you. And one of the things that happens when you do that in life, as we all do sometimes, maybe not as vivid as I'm literally and metaphorically explaining it, but what happens is you have to go back and deal with that version of yourself that you kind of cemented away. And because I did not do that, there were dysfunctions that showed up in my life in so many ways, and I had to learn the lessons, some of them hard, some of them really, really hard, and some of them, a note to self kind of experience. And so for me, this place that I am right now is honestly not where I intended to be. I think I've literally been forged into this position out of purpose, and the Most High saying, okay, you've tried everything that you want to do, and now are you willing to try what I put in you to do? And so I surrendered. And within that surrender, there was this incredible freedom that came with that I was really able to see and experience and feel my purpose. And that brought me into life coaching. I have the educational experience as well, because I was studying to be a therapist, and so I have a master's in counseling. I also have a master's in education, but even the way I wanted to do therapy was very traditional. And again, the Most High intervened and kind of guided me into a direction where I have to have a more authentic, real, I see you, I hear you, I am present in this space with you experience with my clients. And that's very raw and very naked. And so that's where I am.
Yeah.
Long answer to a short question.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for heeding the call of the Most High. And, a lot of us, we don't hear the voice of the Most High. We don't have, burning bushes appear before us, or, heated visions and dreams. But we do have, inclinations inside of us, which is still the voice of God, of course, that tell us we need to do more to, to find our way and help others. But how long did it take you to, self-discover yourself and actually pursue that path?
I would really love to say to you that I had this epiphany and I grew into this maturity. And, I think I would really love to say that, but it really wouldn't be my truth. I literally had to lose everything. I literally had to be on the verge of having my freedom taken away. I really had to be on the verge of not having a choice but to lean on something and someone else beside my own mechanisms and my own constructs and my own belief system. So I didn't get to that place naturally or willingly. I got to that place out of not having a choice. But even in that, it was still a part of the grand design. What happens is the Most High will try to, like you just mentioned, give you these inclinations and give you these, warnings and give you these signs. And, like a little tap on the door and, and a lot of opportunities your entire life to listen. And, it's like C.S. Lewis, said, it'll be thy will be done or thy will be done, And I think at one point, the Most High was just like, okay, you want to do it your way, go ahead and do it your way. And when I did it my way, it yielded in results that were, I could not have gotten out of those situations without the mercy and the grace of the Most High. So for me, I think it was a situation that was forged out of necessity to live, necessity to change, necessity to not experience this duality that I lived every day, and necessity to want to really be in my body and not have to sacrifice being outside of myself in order to exist in the society that I was automatically roaming around in, like we do. If you show up and if you're a mom and if you're a worker and if you're a girlfriend and if you're a wife and if you play all these roles in the lives of the people around you, you could be completely losing your mind and no one will be any wiser as long as you play the role. You know what I mean? Right. If you show up to work, it's okay. You get the kids off to school, all right, you're good. But sometimes you're really not. So for me, I got to the point to where I had to have some conversations with myself that were so painful and they were so uncomfortable. And they basically forced me to go back and deal with that little girl that I had, just kind of tucked away after my childhood trauma. And I had to go sit with her and I had to console her and I had to allow her to feel the pain that I had carved an entire life trying to have her avoid. And in doing so, there was this incredible power that was unleashed. And that power was just awareness, you know? The power of awareness was the gift, I think, that the Most High had always given me, that I was just not appreciative or grateful for. And that's played a huge role in that journey to where I am now.
Definitely. So just to steer away from your personal story for a second, I kind of just want to tie it into what you do at IAmDenise with helping, your clients that come to you for help with self-discovery. So what's like the initial program step or the initial consultation that regards self-discovery? And I could imagine, man, how many people have not sat with all of their damage, all of their experience, all of their history, come to terms with it. And it took me a while, even as a grown man, finally saying, okay, this is what happened, this is who I am, this is who I have become, and, use that, to further my ministry. But, so going back to the clients, though, how do you help them self-discover?
I think one of the first things that I try to do whenever I have a client is I ask the Most High to move me out of the way and just allow me to be a vessel in order to give that client what they need, and in order to see things that you can't necessarily see, leaning on your own understanding and using, your other eyes. And so one of the things that I had to reconcile with, which was very scary for me, I've always had a gift of discernment, and I've always been clairvoyant. That was a very scary thing for me to reconcile with, because of how it was made known to me. When I was age 10, there was a huge hurricane in my country, and it was the biggest one. It was actually September 11, 1988. And after the storm, there was a neighbor that came by our house to visit. But the night before, I had this dream that he died, and I was going to tell my cousin that he died. And so the next day, in reality, he came by and asked to speak with my cousin, and, everything was fine. And a few hours later, I noticed there was a crowd gathered at his house. And I found out that he had actually died, and I had to walk and go and tell my cousin. And it was the exact thing that I saw in my dream, like to the exact time capsule, like everything. And at 10, I really didn't understand what that meant. I really didn't understand that I was being given a gift, and I was being shown that this was a gift that I had. And so what happened was, I think I actually went into, I guess in counseling terms now they would call psychosis, and in spiritual terms we obviously would call that something else. But I just remember begging to not have that. Like, I didn't want to have that. I didn't want that responsibility, and I didn't want that gift because it was so scary to me. So with my clients, I have a different experience because there are things that I discern, or there are things that I see, and I usually offer full disclosure in terms of that. So I can have a session with a client, and it will almost be like we've covered 4 months' work in 2 sessions, because of I'm able to communicate at such a level because of the energies that I pick up from situations emotionally that they may not be able to yet convert to words, because we all rely on words so much, but really it's secondary, in terms of how communication can really be done. So the first thing I ask is that the Most High uses me as a vessel, and he usually sends me a person that he wants me to have a very specific outcome with. I don't usually know what that is. And I'm also very protective, because not everybody who comes to me is a person that I may be a good fit for, or they may be a good fit for me, because my energy is extremely important to protect. But what I do want to have accomplished with each client is really the question of, are you ready? And when I ask, are you ready? I mean, are you ready to actually face what you haven't been willing to or had the desire to? And if you're not ready, if you're not at that space, if we're still at the space where we want to use a certain narrative in order to appease the emotional scars and wounds, that's okay too, but that's just not the place in which we are necessarily working from. And so it's a very particular type of client that I work with, because the work is hard, and we have to be ready, when we get into this sacred space of trust. And I allow the process to naturally unfold, instead of having a predetermined platform or program, because every client is so unique and every client is so different. And that really just, shows itself once I actually am in the presence of the client. That experience is unique every time.
Definitely. I like that. So what about spiritual grounding? I could imagine how many people don't have some sort of higher power or, morals that keep them grounded as a human being. So how do you introduce that to your clients?
I think a lot of times I found that one of the first things I have to do is to help people to get away from the guilt and shame that religion has injected into them. And a lot of times before they can be free to experience spirituality, we really have to work on getting out of the imprisonment of religion and rigidity and structure and just shame and spiritual beatdown, and identify what are some of the constructs they have in terms of, spirituality, and whether or not they've conflated spirituality with religious dogma. And a lot of times, so many times, that is the case. And even from a personal perspective, I understand that, because I grew up very early in a church where, the people who were saved wore uniforms. So you could walk into the church and tell who were the sinners and who weren't. Like the Christian people would have on these, like a uniform. And then if you weren't good enough, then you would wear plain clothes. And at 5, when you have that kind of construct of good and bad and everything being black and white and there is no gray, even that construct is dysfunctional within itself. So I try to help people to really understand that the definition of what they have to do and how many jelly beans they have to count in a jar before they can experience this pure love from the Most High. I have to deconstruct that programming and really try to guide them to, discovering spirituality and discovering their own spiritual path, instead of, injecting another one. Because sometimes somebody can try to get you out of one thing, but try to put you in another, but don't go to church, but follow Buddha, So I really just try to help them. Don't follow Buddha, but read the Gita, or don't read the Gita, but, learn how to become a yogi, or don't learn how to become a yogi, but follow what Eckhart Tolle is doing. I really try to get people away from finding a Messiah in a person here on earth, or finding a Messiah in a construct, or finding a Messiah outside of the experience that was given to you at birth as a gift, that access to the Most High, however you call him, however whatever noun you use, that access is with you, and it is unnecessary to have a mediator in that relationship. And so those are some of the very early conversations we have, because there really is no way to have full emotional growth without spirituality being an essential part of that conversation. I've tried to do that in traditional therapy, because you can't conflate the two. They're very strict about that. But there really isn't. And so now, as I do my life coaching business, I have more freedom to have those holistic conversations with people and about that love and joy that's inside of them, and really have them recognize what that's connected to and where that comes from.
Definitely. So what about the name of your business, IAmDenise? And I know you're the best person for the job based on, your background and your experience, what you went through. But upon the name of a business, was it always IAmDenise, or were there other names and variations?
No, honestly. I think I've been through so many. Well, first of all, if you're Jamaican, you should know that it is law for Jamaicans to have multiple jobs, right? So
11, yes.
11. We're serial entrepreneurs, so I have many jobs and I do many things, and my life coaching business is, a slice of my pizza. But when I was thinking about the direction that I wanted to go, I really just wanted it to be simple. I used IAmDenise as a DBA, but my corporation is actually Neti, which is a Hindu phrase which means not this, not that, and that's the name of my corporation. And then the life coaching is a strand of that. And so for the life coaching piece, I just wanted to start with who I am and what my name is and what I am called as a part of the conversation, as an introduction, right? Because every time you meet somebody, that's the first thing. I am, right? Denise, I am whoever. So I just thought it's simple. And, sometimes when I market, it's denise-life-coaching-services. But my website is really easy to remember that way. The more letters you have, the more likely somebody will forget a letter or spell it wrong, or I can't find your website. So on a marketing standpoint, I figured it would be a nice way to introduce myself, and also to, let people know who I am.
That's right. And I've seen before websites, be the man you are destined to be, called by God, the Most High.com before. It's like, what?
Yeah.
They get real long at times, yeah.
Yeah, there are rules to this thing, it's like, traditionally you want to keep your domain, at a few letters, and don't have too many vowels, and don't have, stuff that people can't spell, and, but, to each his own,
Yep. So how important is food to the whole journey?
Let me preface that question by saying I am not a dietitian, and I am not educated in this space. I can only speak from my own experience, and so I want to make sure that disclaimer is, stated before I go into my response. And again, this is my own opinion. So I've had some pictures lately, and I've had, I would say maybe the last year or two, I've had people say to me, oh my gosh, you've lost weight. What have you done? And what's your diet or what's your regimen? And for me, honestly, a big part of that was not tied to food. It was really just removing certain elements of my life. And because I'm such a sensitive energy person, I was literally gaining weight based on having that extra weight in my life. And the second thing was, I'm Jamaican, so, I got to have rice and peas at least 3-4 times a week. Rice is like a staple. And, it's got to be curry chicken, brown stew chicken, jerk chicken, right? So I had to kind of cut down on the rice and, less on the chicken. But one of the things that happened coincidentally, I got really busy. I've never been a breakfast person unless I'm in Jamaica and somebody make ackee and saltfish and fried bread fruit. Then I'm a breakfast person. But for the most part, my mouth really doesn't wake up for breakfast time. And I was still trying to force myself to eat breakfast because they say eat 3-4 meals a day and eat breakfast. Finally, I got to the point to where I realized I'm not a breakfast person. And literally when I put breakfast in my body, I'm just doing it for the sake of doing it. And so I didn't have breakfast. And my eating habits kind of became this thing that I now see everybody advertising as intermediate fasting. I didn't know that was a thing, but it aligns with what I was doing. The Most High says, man shall not live by bread alone. So I try not to be so tethered to the construct of, tying food to what happens. I use food the way that it should be. And now I eat, to nourish my body, but I don't really have a whole food regimen. I'm allergic to soy, so that's a diet all in itself because 80% of the food that's made here has some kind of soy or soy derivative. But it's, it's the basic for me. I would say drink a lot of water, which I don't do enough of, but I do drink coconut water. And I try to eat not for the sake of just eating or for the sake of enjoyment, but I really try to eat for nourishment. And with that mindset, I realized I don't eat as often as I would when I was eating for comfort or when I was eating for distraction.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I definitely believe that the diet is a large part of everything. And that's just based off what I believe as well. How energies are transferred through some meat. That's why I'm vegan. But anyway, so one of the many gifts that you possess or that's in your arsenal is energy reading. So how did you discover that you had this ability?
It's kind of weird because as a Jamaican, which I'm so glad that you have that background, that we don't use those kind of words, and Jamaican energy, I know science, I know none of that, right?
Yeah.
So being that I was from that background, it was just not something that I was, eager to even find out. But really what was happening to me was I would get so drained. And when people would tell me their stories about their boyfriends or about their lives or about whatever, I could feel that in my body. And I would have girlfriends, for example, that would tell me stories about their boyfriends or their husbands when they were having a fallout. And that energy would stay in my body. They would move on and they would make up 2 days later, and I would be more upset with the person than they were. And you know what I mean? They've moved on from it, vented and vomited and told you all of it, and then you're now mad at a person that you're not even in a relationship with. And so there was so much energy that I was feeling in my body. I didn't understand it at the time, and I didn't have the vocabulary. And so I was imploding and exploding and kind of reacting just based on trying to keep certain things outside of me. And I didn't realize that until I came across this book by this psychiatrist. I think it's Judith Orloff, and it's called On Being an Empath. And I just did not really like the word or the concept of being an empath because I feel like everybody calls themselves an empath, especially narcissists. Like, oh, I'm such an empath. So I really stared away from it. But as I read this book, it just checked off so many things in terms of what my day-to-day, kind of experiences were. And so as I educated myself more, And I understood that what I do that I feel to be so natural is not really what everybody does. Like somebody could walk in a room and not say a word, and I could literally feel whether it's the anxiety in them, or I could feel something in them before they even communicated a word. And so I realized that I was not just tapping into my own energy, I was actually tapping into other people's energy. And I had to, and I'm still learning how to balance that and how to be protective of my own and how to regulate that ability. Because if not, I mean, it can be very, very overwhelming. And so what I had to learn how to do was basically to share with people once I pick things up, if they ask, and then we can kind of just go into that. I could discern, I guess is a better word. I can discern certain things, and energy is a part of that, and then I'm able to share that. And a lot of times somebody will say, oh my gosh, could you repeat that? And I really can't, because I'm literally like a vessel in that whole process of communication, if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah. Wow. All right. What can listeners do right now for self-care in the midst of COVID-19? I know a lot of us are being forced to sit with ourselves and kind of self-reflect and either binge watch TV or play video games or create businesses. But, still self-care should be a part of that equation. So what are some of IAmDenise tips and advice on self-care during this time?
Honestly, I think one of the very first things I would say for self-care, in the Greek culture, the word persona actually meant mask, right? It was, when they had all these thespians acting and playing these different roles, they didn't have enough physical bodies to play all these different characters. So they would use a persona, which is a mask, to switch out of one character. And now they're playing character B instead of character A. And the persona was the device that was used in order for that to occur. And it's interesting because the word persona in English actually means the real person, when in fact, in the Greek root, it really means a mask. And I think one of the tips that I would recommend for self-care is to sit still in the process and start to remove that mask. Sometimes we've worn a mask for so long that we've really over-identified with that, and we really think that's us. We really believe that we are the summation of what we're identified by society or even the people around us. But I know from personal experience that there is someone beneath all of that. And I think COVID is the perfect opportunity to start, like how women peel off their nails, they can't go to the shop because of COVID, so they have to stick it in acetone. And I don't wear nails, but back in the day when I used to, you got to stick it in the acetone and start to peel it off until your natural nail is all that's left. And I think the best gift you can give yourself for self-care is that process of peeling off the mask, no matter how thick the layer has been, and really get to know yourself. Because if you're practicing self-care for a version of yourself, and it's not really your true self, it's still not self-care. It's care, it's persona care, it's mask care, it's representative care, right? And so to truly practice self-care, I would say, let us really begin to examine who we are. Who is that? Who are we being? Who have we become? And is there a disparity and a disconnect between all three of those? And if there is, are you ready to peel the mask?
Definitely. Definitely. So you have a lot going on with IAmDenise, a lot of services, a lot of different intricate parts of, the path to self-discovery, self-healing, self-care, spiritual living, and advice from you. You also have a book club. I like books.
Yes.
All your books, though. But tell us about your book club.
You know what? I love to read, and I really don't have as much time as I would want to. So I am an avid, Audible. I don't listen to music in my car. I was listening to your music before I came on, and I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't felt a rhythm through my body. When I used to go to Zumba, at least I would have that. But I haven't listened to music in so long, because every time I get an opportunity, it's Audible that I'm listening to, So I love reading, and there are books that's really created some paradigm shifts in my spirit, in my consciousness, in my soul, in my, challenging of my own construct, my own belief system. And so when I find those books, I like to recommend them to people, and, to see if they experienced or got anything from it. And, if they didn't, then reading is fundamental. So even just the act of reading itself helps. But yeah, I love to read and I love to write. I actually write poetry, and I have so many things I've written that I haven't published yet, but I'm hoping to get into that a little bit more. But I'm hesitant because I don't want to become the preacher or the leader. I think I'm a life coach. I think you're a life coach. I think everyone is a life coach. If you can be in your own authentic experience, that can't be duplicated. We can't get that anywhere else. And so we need authentic people so we can have models of authenticity that we can strive for, even when we're unable to exist within our own authenticity, So reading helps me to do that, and I really enjoy reading. Nice. I'm more of an audiobook person these days, and it's because of a lot of traveling and time constraint. Yes. Do you do Audible?
Yes, I do.
What are you listening to right now?
Right now, I'm trying to find this book. I haven't been listening to anything lately. It has all been podcasting. But I've been trying to find this book. I took a screenshot because I seen it as a recommendation on Facebook, and I screenshot the book. Couldn't find it on Audible. So I tried Amazon and can't find it there either. But I just forgot the name of it just that quick. But that is the book that I want to read, even if I have to get the physical copy. It's just so intriguing. Oh, wow. What are you reading right now?
Oh my gosh. So I'm a little bit scattered in the sense that I have a book that I read when I'm going to bed. I have a book that I read in the mornings, and I have a book that I may have in the background. So right now, sorry, that's my sister calling me. Okay. Right now, I'm reading this book called The Unseen Realm by Michael Heiser. And it's basically a guy that is saying things out loud that I've always wondered, but just based on my religious upbringing, I thought it was well, maybe I shouldn't say that out loud. And he is basically taking a more literal approach to the Bible, where there are things that are said that people say, okay, well, that just let's bypass over that. Like references about the Most High talking to the council. Can we talk about the council? A council is the body of, beings or people or, fellow advisees or advisors. So when he addresses some of these things and offers his, kind of explanation, I'm just like, oh my gosh, somebody's saying that out loud. And Krishnamurti is my next one. I'm always listening to Krishnamurti because I feel like he's one of those philosophers or teachers that's very, he's not pointing you to anything or anyone. He's just pointing you to your own understand, your own ability to think. And so I'm always listening to something of his. And, you know, it's a little mixture. The Untethered Soul, I like that. Dr. Miles Monroe, I know I'm late, but I just kind of discovered him a few months ago, and he's kind of cool. And then, you know, just the shit my dad says, pardon the language, that's a funny one that I came across that makes me laugh. That's hilarious. So I'm literally reading like 5 books. Like when you and I talk, I'll show you my list, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, how many books are you reading at one time? But I love it. It's just a very intimate, knowledge is so intimate, you know, when it's subjective and not being drilled. So yeah. But yeah, I have like one more space to go on Audible. You know how they have like the beginner and the scholar, and you have like these levels based on how many hours you read. So I just have one more block to go. So that's my claim to fame.
yeah, such a milestone. Wow.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So when you find that
one,
if you remember, send me that book so I can look at that too, the one you're looking at.
Okay, yeah. It's in my phone somewhere. Like with the iPhone, it can store up to 1 million photos, and over time, if you don't organize it, it's just one big mess of screenshots and downloads and anyway, I'll find it. But so all right. So initially, when a client wants to come on, you offer classes, you offer everything basically. How do they sign up? How do they become a part of IAmDenise?
So the first thing that I would recommend is that we set up a consultation, and in the consultation, we just basically talk for about 2 hours really about where you are, what's going on, where you're trying to be, what is it that you're trying to get accomplished from, embarking in this kind of consultation relationship. And out of that conversation, comes a decision to either go forward or not. And in going forward, we decide what's the platform that we'll use. Usually I do a hybrid model, which is a combination of, one-on-one sessions. We also have group sessions. And then I think teaching, my master's, my first master's is in education. So I was a teacher for 10 years, and I come from a family of teachers. And I think if you're Jamaican, you're automatically a teacher. Your mother and your grandmother and everybody was teaching you, and you kind of grew up mimicking, that kind of like cadence. So I have several classes that I offer year round, and they're all kind of tailored towards, self-development and personal growth. And those classes are, basically tied to what you're trying to accomplish and, where you want to be. And so we see if any of those classes work for you. And if not, and you prefer to do more of a one-on-one until you get to that space, then we can do that as well. Like we're getting ready to start a class called Overcoming Obstacles, Build Grit, Resilience, and Mental Toughness. And, that's a lot, because people are like, man, this class is about how to like get stronger and how to be, like tough. And really it will result in that symptomatically, but honestly, it's more so to uncover what affects you, how it affects you, how you process things, why you are affected a certain way, and releasing some of those obstacles that you can, so you can find the strength in your reaction or lack thereof. And that's really where a lot of power lies, that untapped power, where you're not just pretending to not be affected, but you can actually be unaffected by things that are happening outside of you, or things that are happening, for you instead of to you, and shifting your perception and having a paradigm shift in how you experience things and how you look at them. And that's one of my favorite classes, because it always ends up being a little bit different than what people anticipated. So we have that class that started in September, and we basically have a class starting every month that's kind of tied to some area of self-development, inspiration to build a life you love. Just a few, too many to name. Healing from emotional trauma, breakups and betrayal. There's always something for somebody. So once you get in and, we have a consultation and we come up with a plan, then we just start the process like right away. If you're ready, I'm ready. If you're not ready, then I can be here when you are.
Yes, indeed. All right, and those links and phone numbers and social media sites that people can connect with you at?
I think the easiest one really is just to go to my website, which is IAmDenise.com, spelled just regular DENISE. That's IAmDenise.com, and all my contact information is on my website.
All right. And listeners, we will have those links in the description of this episode and in the show notes. So all you have to do is click those links. It'll take you right to it. I did all the hard work for you, so you don't have to type anything. Just click the links, connect with her. All right, before we let you go, one last thing. Do you use TikTok?
You know what? This is going to tell you my age, right? I don't have a TikTok account, and I have a 16-year-old who I think may be mortified if he saw me on TikTok. But I need to get with the times. Do you have a TikTok?
I don't. No, I don't.
Okay, all right. So I don't feel so alienated. Okay, good.
Yeah. It's not my thing.
How come you don't have one?
I wouldn't know what to do with my hands. Like, okay. I'm more of an audio. If I'm on video, what do I do with my hands?
Wait, is it like all dancing from what I understand? Is it like a dance?
No, you can cook, you can do comedy, you can do voiceovers. It's kind of like, Snapchat, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, I don't have one of those either. It's telling my age now.
No, I have a Snapchat.
Yeah, but I think if I have a Snapchat, people would get frustrated with me because I think you have to put a lot of content and be like put in stuff like every day, right? Or how often do you update your Snapchat?
Like every month or 2 months.
Really?
I'm not very active. Yeah, I watch a lot of people's, videos and offer commentary that way, and that's how I, get my engagement. But me just doing stuff, nah.
Okay, so
yeah,
I'm going to do a Snapchat, and then I'm going to research TikTok, because I thought it was just for dancing. So pardon my ignorance on that. But, I'm Jamaican, so I get down, But
yeah. You mentioned that, you really haven't listened to music. I was like, wow, I need to take her dancing. She hasn't had any rhythm flowing through her body yet.
I miss dancing so. Dancing is like, we have coconut water, dancing, African sausage. These are like the pillars of Jamaican. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I miss dancing so much. Yes. Now, Buju's new album, I'm gonna definitely get. Have you gotten that yet?
I have not. No.
Yeah, we have to support. So I'm gonna definitely. Yeah, gonna get that, because I'm listening to some of his interviews. Oh my God. I mean, he's making me want to be a better like that. Come on. Yeah. Get up.
Totally agree. Yeah. Yep.
Thank you so much, though. Before we go, I just want to say thank you so much for having this conversation with me. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm always so grateful when I can have a conversation with like minds and like energies and like hearts. So thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate that. And, if you need me, I'm here, and vice versa, I hope.
Yes, indeed. I'm one click away.
All right.
And you're in the South, and so am I. I'm over in Mississippi right now, and you're in Texas, or is it Atlanta?
Oh, no, I'm in Georgia.
Georgia, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, not too far away. All right. All right, well, Denise, thank you so much once again for being our honored special guest. It was truly an amazing journey going through this with you.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure, and we should do this again sometime.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right, take care and stay safe out there.
Likewise. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, my Vigilantes family, as always, for checking out my podcast over here at Vigilantes Radio. All episodes are available for free download, and you can grab that from either Spreaker.com/only1media group, iTunes, YouTube, any app that's on a Google Play or iTunes store, or our website, and that goes from every single episode that we've ever aired. If you'd like to request music or a particular guest or send something for me to play, email it to theradio@onlyonemediagroup.com. If it's music, please label it by artist and title. Here's my disclaimer. We are genre free, we do not judge, and we absolutely do not base our opinions on hearsay but facts alone. And actually, you can scratch all of that because all of my opinions are always right. That's the bottom line. This is my show, so deal with it. Nah, just kidding. On behalf of myself, Dini-Mussolini, I appreciate all you guys for tuning in, either afterwards or live with us. Spread the word because sharing is caring. We stepped up our game just for you guys and our guests to make sure that you have the best experience here on our show. Be sure to connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, as well as Spreaker. We always follow back. That is the number one rule. Okay, well, just remember to be yourself and be absolutely great at just doing that. Avoid being too comfortable because you're messing with your potential when you do that. Peace and have a good night.
You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, the people's choice for quality interviews, art, music, and hot topics. Hosted by Demetrius Houdini Black Reynolds of the duo No Longer the Hero. All episodes of this podcast are available for free download at www.onlyonemediagroup.com. This is a Seventh Sign Regime Rebirth Worldwide Syndicate exclusive.